Welcome everybody once again to today's interview about the improvement of mental health of farmers and ensuring agricultural productivity. I'm hosting this project. This interview is about the mental health of farmers and ensuring their productivity, as I mentioned before. And you feel free, please, if you have any questions during the interview, please write them in the chat. I'm gonna download this interview later and upload it on my YouTube channel, which is also linked to my bio, which is called Mental Health or Health Exchange without mental, but here we are focusing on mental health and related topics. And yes, whenever you have questions, feel free to write them in the chat and I will read them out through the interview or at the end of the interview. So I'm very honored and happy to welcome Emmanuel Fadipe to be my guest tonight. And yeah, Emmanuel, please give us some information about yourself, for example, your profession, and also your reasons why you are also interested in mental health.
Okay. Thank you so much, Catherine, and thank you so much for the opportunity again to share my ideas to the people. My name is Emmanuel Fadipe, and I'm currently a doctoral researcher at the University of Arnhem, where I'm working majorly on livestocks, and I try to center my research in Germany, some parts of Europe, majorly Africa, South America, and Canada, majorly. And mental health is something that either we like it or not, we have a touch with at all times. You can see the reflection of this in the emotions of the farmers, in their perception. You also see a lot of people that seem to be depressed every time you want to carry out your research on their farms. I mean, that is linked to agriculture. But talking about your interaction daily with humans, you always have a bit of reflection on the mental health of people, because that controls the seats of their emotions, the seats of their interaction, and also for their action. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Please, may you tell us something about what's the influence of mental health on agricultural productivity, part of your studies and your research project? And which farmers did you get in touch with?
Okay, thank you very much. Majorly, my research is centered on the local farmers, but it's both the laboratory diagnostics and also evaluating the perception of these farmers on the subject matter, which is just narrowed down to a particular disease that reduces the productivity of these animals. So that means that there is a part of the research that deals with an extension approach, while another part of the research deals with the scientific evaluation or scientific analysis of things that were observed from some of the products of the animals. Now, mental health, how does it relate to this research? Just like I talked about the finding out the diseases and trying to check for the prevalence and for the persistence of this disease. When we talk about disease, it's not a good news. Disease is something that is possibly, one, will lead to low productivity, secondly, can lead to the death of the animals. And when we talk about that, that means a lot of money is going to be lost by the farmers. And when money is lost by the farmers, or they see some of their animals dying, the animals that they have passion for, then it can bring about depression and can also affect their mental health. And so we encounter all these things on a daily basis. We encounter all these things, let me say, even hourly. Most times when they lose a bird, they know the chances of losing more birds in the day is going to be higher. And this can affect their mental health. This can also have a take on their physical health. This can also have can have a bad effect on even their motivation towards agriculture. And of course, when farmers are not motivated to engage in the agricultural practices, the eventual result is a decline in the economic productivity. So it affects at the individual level of the farmers, it affects at the sectional level of the community, it affects at the national level, and even at the continental level of Africa. Yes.
Okay, you said you included local farmers in your sample. Where are they located precisely, the farmers that you work with in your research project?
Okay, generally when we talk about research, the people that engage majorly in agricultural productivity are the rural dwellers. I'm not ruling out the idea that we'll have people, for example, in the state capital that engage in agricultural productivity, but most people that engage in agricultural practices are always the rural farmers. So we talk about where the feed is being produced, the raw materials where the feeds are being collected are from the rural areas. We talk about where the laborers have higher passion to practice agriculture. They are always in the rural areas. So this is not we trying to look down on a city or look down on a town, but then we are talking about the higher percentage of people that engage in agricultural activities. And of course, that still takes us back to the drawing board of how difficult it might be for us to carry out research in these areas based on their ideology about some perception, some cultural ideas, some restrictions. Sometimes they feel like you want to collect data so that you can talk about their bad practices and put them in the bad book of the government. And yes, it becomes difficult. But when we talk about the local farmers, we are not trying to beat their experience down. We are just talking about the fact that they are located and confined more in the rural communities than in the major cities. Mm-hmm.
All right, of Nigeria precisely, or also in Germany? Do
Yes,
you also collect?
Yes, I carry out the research in Germany too, but majorly I deal more in Nigeria. Yes, we also have local farmers in Germany, you know. Yes, but for the sake of the research you are talking about, which I am also aware you are aware of, I'm talking about Nigeria, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So please, what encouraged you to deal with the influence of mental health on farmers and their agricultural productivity in particular? Like personally, what encouraged you to deal with this topic?
I think the nucleus of every research should basically be centered on your passion for the subject matter, you know. How passionate are you in ensuring that you achieve the result? So it's not only about you just working on a research and getting the results. It's equally about you trying to find out the heartfelt needs of the farmers. And if you want to do that, you're trying to observe their emotions. You try to observe their actions. You also try to evaluate their interest in revealing some kind of information to you. Some of them have had some information about, it's just like, for example, the census in Nigeria many years ago. Some people don't want their children to be counted because they have some cultural perspectives. The same way when they have researchers come to meet them, they are also very skeptical about the reason why you came. And that is based on the state of their mental health. You ask a farmer, for example, oh, sorry, why are you doing this? And then it becomes aggressive towards you. It's not like the farmer is not welcoming, but some things have gone down the line for such a farmer. Maybe the farmer is not getting as much as the financial investment he put in such kind of projects. So everything you achieve in the course of your research is majorly a reflection of the state of the mental health of the farmers. Their open-mindedness to you shows that maybe everything is going on well. Their restriction or their inability to come out straight and tell you their heartfelt needs shows that possibly things are not going well. So leaving the academic section, talking about the empathetic aspects of life, mental health is a major factor to consider. You read it on their face, you observe it in their voice, and you try to evaluate it in their actions.
Thank you. I saw that some new people joined us. Welcome to this interview. We are very happy to be here with you. Kindly notice that we can't confirm requests to be in the live videos due to technical aspects. But whenever you have a question, please feel free to send them in the chat, and I'm gonna read them out through the interview, and Emmanuel will be happy to answer them. Thank you very much. So, which mental health symptoms, Emmanuel, are you seeing or assuming in farmers, and which consequences concerning their productivity do you assume?
Thank you for that question. I would say, unfortunately, most of the farmers I don't want to use the word most, but a vast majority of the farmers, that is still most anyways, are not motivated towards agricultural practices anymore. This is because some of them have, over the years, felt left out, and have felt that the government possibly do not care about their endeavors. The government don't care about their toils. The government doesn't even try to look at their own heartfelt needs. And they also feel they don't have support from some important societies like the agricultural firms, like the Farmers Association, and they just feel left out. And because of this, they don't have anywhere to run to anytime they're experiencing challenges. I spoke with some farmers some time ago, and they complained about the death of some birds. And when I looked at the birds, I could tell exactly why the birds were, why there was mortality on the farm. But this is their own issue. If we take these birds to the veterinary clinics by the government, we have to pay thousands of naira for them to just be able to tell us exactly what is wrong with this bird. So they are not motivated. There is no encouragement. And because of this, a lot of them just go through depression. They cannot be able to make up the inputs, the financial inputs they've invested into it. They do not have a support system they can always rely on when things don't go well. They do not even have the community that they can share their ideas with and talk about their challenges, and together they will be able to rise up. So let me just say that lack of productivity as a result of lack of government support, lack of incentives for the farmers, no way they can be able to have good routes leading to their farm. They cannot be able to engage in how can I call it, in meaningful and substantial interaction and share challenges among each other. These are some of the problems they face, and this is why they get depressed, they lose their passion, and as a result, bring about declination in agricultural production. So it's like everything mixed up together, actually. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. There was a question coming. Thank you very much for the question. And the person also expresses the gratitude for your novel research. The question is, the person was wondering how much of the farmers' mental strains are agro-related, and how difficult was it to isolate non-agro circumstances that may affect their well-being?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I'll first try to tell you that sometimes it's difficult for you to identify the reason why there is agricultural setback, or the reason why some farmers are depressed. I deal more with the social scientific aspects of the research, and I also deal with the scientific aspects of the research. Sometimes you find it so hard to know the cause of the depression on these farmers. Sometimes you find it so hard to actually be able to recognize that. I mean, I'm not like Catherine, I'm not a psychotherapist like her, but of course, sometimes you just try to gauge what the problem might be. The level of relationship you have with these farmers is what determines their interest in telling you exactly why they are depressed from day to day. Some of them also have some family challenges. You have a farmer, for example, that have 10 children and know that the agricultural raking or the financial income that he gets from selling some of the birds or from selling some of the farm produce is not even sufficient to raise 3 of these children. And that boils down to some family challenges too. We have some of the farmers that have been nursing some chronic diseases or some bad ailments over the years, and they don't even have the support of the government. Maybe some of them fell down from the palm tree. Maybe some of them had some hardship or difficulty.
Sorry for the inconveniences. Sorry for the interruption. I think there were some network or technical issues, but I'm happy to see Emmanuel back for the interview. Please, Emmanuel, do you remember the last question we were working on that you were about to answer?
Yeah, someone asked how we can differentiate the agricultural linked challenges of the farmers from their own personal challenges. How do we try to find out the possible cause of their depression or their mental health challenge? That's just like what I can get from the picture. And then I was almost done explaining that to say that it's a bit difficult for you to be able to narrow down what the challenge of the farmer is. Like I said, it's difficult for someone you're just meeting for the first time or someone you're meeting for the second or the third time to open up personal challenges to you. That's relatively, I don't want to use the word impossible, but it takes a great deal of friendship before that person can be able to confide in you. For psychotherapists or individuals that are used to evaluating the states of people at first sight, or evaluating, analyzing the states of people after 2 or 3 different contacts, maybe that is easier. For us that try to carry out research sometimes, we sometimes find it so hard to know why they are filled with expressions of painful emotions sometimes, or filled with the nonchalance sometimes, or they just want to withdraw in their shells. But the most important thing that we have to do, or that we try to always do at all times, is to be very empathetic. Prepare your mind that these farmers are going to be withdrawn in their shells. Just prepare for that and be ready to understand with them at that point that they are not willing to subject themselves to the solutions you want to provide for them. And as time goes on, the fact that you are lenient to them and you did not show aggression to their lukewarm attitude is definitely going to go a long way in they telling you what their challenges are. So you must see beyond the research. You must be more of an empathetic individual and be interested first in the farmer ahead of the results you aim to achieve in the course of your research. And that covers every field. It doesn't have to be the farmers. I'm just talking about what I consider basic research ethics. Put the target audience first and put your results secondary, and then you will be able to make positive impact in their respective lives. Yep.
Thank you very much. I think it's also sometimes maybe even, or I ask myself several times, to put it down to one cause is even difficult sometimes. As you also mentioned, there are so many contributing factors that can lead to the fact that the mental health of someone is affected. So, yeah. Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, what do you think would farmers need or need to do in order to improve their mental health?
Well, that question is, I will try to answer that question in different ways. For every human, either the farmer or just people that are in the school or in any working environment, what we all need is love. We need love. It looks so simple, but it's actually very deep. When you have love and when you show love to every individual, you've solved their problems halfway. Because when they can be able to sense a great deal of love from you, then they can be able to tell you their challenges. You cannot solve anybody's problem, both mental health difficulties, both financial problem, if they don't open up to you. And that's why you have to be a love being, and you must also be interested in letting the love in you be abundant enough to even be expressed to the person around you. For the farmers themselves, I think agriculture is a very, very sensitive field. And the reason why I'm saying that is you don't count your chickens before they are hatched. You don't. Sometimes what you expect as your productivity is not what you eventually get. As sad as it is, I have to say that farmers should try not to be too optimistic about the percentage of productivity they want or they are expecting, because those kind of expectations can bring about depression if things don't work well. We have environmental factors, we have agricultural impacts, we have the fact that the government is not willing to support them. We have the fact that they might even be battling with some family challenges that they don't know yet in the course of the production. So these are things that they need to put into, so just like the Bible said, which of you will want to build a house and will not first count the cost? So just a practical example. I remember when I was in the university, I wanted to raise some birds, and I was telling myself in the next 3 months, this is the amount of money I will make out of the birds. And unfortunately, I lost some of the birds then to coccidiosis. I was just a young farmer at that time. It was easy for me to get over it because I had my family around me. It was easy for me to get over it because I had my lecturers in support of my dream. But some farmers are left alone. They don't have anybody to shoulder their fears, and I don't want to use the word misfortune, definitely, but their loss, yes. So for such kind of farmers, and for someone like me, too, a young farmer at that time, I need to ensure that I don't count my chicken before they are hatched. I try to do everything possible. I try to engage in good hygiene practices. I try to ensure that I dot all my I's and cross my T's. But I have to understand the fact that agriculture is not all about that. There are times that things don't go well. It's just important to try your best possible and hope that everything works out well. So for this kind of farmers, they need to, agriculture is a kind of sector that when you go to, you have to brace up. You have to be ready for whatever happens, especially in developing countries where you don't have the government to help subsidize some things for you or to help you carry out some of the activities and make you just relax, as we have in most developed countries. They need to understand where they are coming from, and they need to brace up for the challenges ahead. While we, the people they are toiling for day and night, should ensure that we show them love, and not just circumstantial love, expressful, unending, limitless, and pure love. Just see a farmer and tell the farmer everything is going to be fine. Encourage the farmer. And when you want to buy the agricultural productivity, don't just tell the farmer yes. Don't talk about ridiculous prices. Understand the fact that they are human and give them some sense of encouragement. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. That was actually my next question. Maybe you want to add something to it, but what can societies or communities do in order to improve the mental health of farmers, or to support the improvement of mental health of farmers?
Okay, thank you very much. I think when we were much younger, during primary school days, if you ask a Nigerian kid, what do you want to become in future? They tell you, I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer, I want to become a lawyer. Nobody wants to talk about becoming a farmer, because there is a kind of stereotype on farmers, which is the fact that their clothes are dirty, their clothes are torn, they don't have good shoes. So I think from cradle, most of us, I mean, I'm not like a practical farmer, I'm just like a researcher, but most of us have a bad notion about farmers as individuals that depict the height of poverty. And that's a societal stigmatization or societal look down on some individuals. So we can do better as a society. We can do better by making our children understand the fact that agriculture is not an occupation for people that cannot make it in life, or people that are less or worse off than their counterparts in the society. We have to understand the fact that agriculture is also a profession on its own. And maybe if our teachers can encourage people and don't talk like, okay, yeah, medicine is the best field, and agriculture, when you go to the farm, you don't need any experience, and you are just going to have some community or societal setback. We can try to portray the image of agriculture in a better light than the narrative we have given it over time. I mean, in Germany, when I went to Canada, in US, everybody is so proud to say, oh, I'm a farmer, right? But in Nigeria, if you tell your father you want to become a farmer, sometimes they might have to look you in the face 2 or 3 times. And that is just because of the kind of perception that people have about agriculture. I've said it before, as the society, we have to show love to these farmers and make them feel loved. Also, we have to encourage them by not discriminating the profession itself. Understand the fact that there is no profession that is less than the other, but let's try to encourage them. Let's try to understand the fact that they are putting in their best into the national development, just like doctors have, the health sector, the finance sector, the social sector. The agricultural sector is also a very vast key area in national development. Let's perceive that, let's relay that, and let's make them feel loved in the society. And that would make them have some boost in their morale.
Thank you very much. What do you think we as or me as a psychotherapist and mental health specialist, what would be important to know, maybe for like considering the healthcare, mental health care in particular, of farmers in Nigeria, or when healthcare is provided, what do you think is important to consider?
Thank you so much, Catherine. I think one of the things you need to consider for you, maybe because you are also coming from another part of the world, and you're not here, like you didn't grow up here possibly. One thing that you need to consider is also the cultural heritage of the farmers. So the way you express yourself over there, for example, might be a bit difficult for you to relate with the way things are expressed here. And understanding the culture of the people and trying your best possible to make them fit into the plans that you have for them. Not forceful, but by mutual understanding is very, very important. I often tell people this: when you go to a country like China, for example, if you don't understand how the farmers, how they are wired, when I say wired, their cultural values, you might have challenges in relating with them, in achieving results, in expressing your heartfelt needs to them, because it's a how can I call it? It's a feedback loop itself. So you give them innovations, you try to observe them if they are going to adopt it, and they also give you their own basic ideas. But the way we communicate and the way they communicate, if it's not on the same pathway, then no results can be achieved. So first, identify with the stakeholders of the community. identify with the cultural heritage of the people, understand where they are coming from, where they are currently, and where they are going to, and then the simplicity of heart to be able to give them some level of respect and not just look down on them as if they are not doing things right might also go a long way. Simply, you can be able to ignite their interest and make them share your ideas, but that must be gently done. And like I said, the cultural heritage of the people is what defines your success, or I don't want to talk about the negativity again, or the failure of you making impact on their lives. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. If you have like material, what you think would be good for people to read about that and also about cultural beliefs, I would be personally very grateful if you could share them.
Yeah, definitely, sure.
Thank you so much. So,
yeah. Sorry, it got dark.
Then I also would like to ask you, because besides being a researcher on the mental health of farmers, you are also the founder of Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation.
Yeah.
Please, can you introduce us to...
Okay. I didn't get the question very well. You were talking about Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation, right?
Yes, please. Can you give us a short introduction of your organization? Like,
okay.
What are you dealing with?
Yes, so Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation was established in the year 2022, precisely February 28th, which was my birthday. And I see it as what's actually brought about the foundation was, of course, more divine, but I don't want to go into spiritual talks right now. But it's also from the heartfelt needs that the welfarism of the people should be prioritized. And Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation did not just start in a day. It went through some series of observation on the challenges of people in the developing countries. Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation is not, of course, continental biased, of course, but centers more on the African society. And when I say the African society, it cuts across all the sectors in Africa, from the students, from the children, to the mothers, to those that are deprived of their basic human rights in the society. And the whole dream of the association is, of the foundation, is to ensure that everyone have a sense of pride and everyone can be able to stand. They personally should feel equal, both compared to people of other races or even the other Nigerian, for example. And no child should feel less than other children from other races. And so we've carried out quite a couple of projects, definitely. Some of the projects have touched individuals that are children, have also touched people that are adults, that in a way that we are not religious biased, for example. And the goal of the foundation is very, very big. I don't really want to talk too much because that can take hours. But that's just like the basic idea around the foundation. It's just 1 year old, and we hope we'll be able to achieve all the basic objectives of the foundation. As we have started, we hope that things will get better and everybody will be able to benefit, just as the dream of the foundation itself is. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So how and to what extent does your organization addresses the improvement of mental health of people?
Yes, like I said, mental health as a subject matter is not actually mental health for me. If I want to define mental health, I don't have to see mental health as something that is difficult for you as an individual to be able to relate to. Suicidal thoughts come from depression most of the time, and depression comes from accumulated thoughts that are negative, maybe signs of not fulfilling destiny, or maybe stigmatization in the society, or maybe a feeling of not being inadequate to be able to even achieve your primary goals. And when you talk about foundations, or you talk about NG, non-governmental organizations that are based on humanitarian activities, the primary focus should be to ensure that everyone feel loved, everyone believe that the society can be a better place, no one is left behind, and no one feel discriminated, and there is no social injustice. When we achieve all these things, we've been able to stabilize the mental health of the people. So for me, every humanitarian project or every organization, association, body that stands in the way of justice is against the mental health balance of the people. If an NGO does not prioritize the mental health of the people, then the question is, what is the aim of such an NGO? When you make the children happy, joy and depression do not go hand in hand. So when there is joy, there is no depression. When there is no depression, the mental health of the individuals is activated positively. And this is what I believe that non-governmental organizations should stand for and should be able to defend, even to the last penny of what they have. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you. So to what extent and how can local people get access to the services of your organization or participate in your organization? And how can they contact you?
Thank you very, very much. I remembered when I granted when I honored some of the interviews by a couple of media houses in Africa. My stand was clear, and my stand is still clear. Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation is not for Emmanuel Fadipe. Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation is for Catherine Hamaha, for example. Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation is for everyone. So Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation is a family for everyone. And it's not really about some individuals that are the team members. So Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation is definitely for those that are joy deprived, or for those that might not feel fit in the society, to restore back the place of their self-confidence, and to also ensure that everybody all around can have something to take out from the foundation as a soothing effect to whatever the society has posed upon them. And when you check some of the projects we've done over time, you will discover we go to public schools.
All right, I think there are some network issues currently. Let us wait for a second. Now I hear you.
Can you hear
Emmanuel,
me now?
can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me too?
Now I can hear you. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please. Now I can hear you.
Yes, so I said anyone that wants to be part of the foundation, there is no bureaucracy, definitely. It's very easy. You can write us on the social media platforms and tell us where you want to be of help. Like I said, it doesn't have to be financial. We've not even collected ₦1 as external funding before. Anywhere you can be of help, maybe you think you have some special gifts that can also encourage us in better outreach, why not? You're 100% welcome. Just write on the social media platforms. You can write us on Instagram, Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation. Yes, and then the person under the social media platform will definitely respond, and you're already part of the family. There is no discrimination. The only thing is we must share the common goal of making the world a better place, and that is all.
Okay. Thank you very much. If you don't mind, I would share your contact and the link to your social media page after this interview so that people can easily follow it.
Definitely. I'll be happy. No problems. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I would also like to ask not only for local people how they can contribute or participate, but also to what extent and how can international people participate and contribute to the organization and get in touch with you?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So we understand the fact that the word local people is an English word. The word international people is an English word. But Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation don't know those adjectives. You see everybody as the same. But I understand where you're coming from, talking about the outreach and the location of people. Most of the projects we have done, for example, are for those that are so much in need. You know, when we started the foundation, we held a meeting, the major stakeholders, and then we thought of how everybody can have a piece of benefit from the organization as something that will live forever in their memory and not something that will just end. For example, on our social media platform, we stopped that like a month ago actually because we are planning some mega projects in Africa currently. We have programs that we do every 2 weeks. We have the mental health talk. We bring mental health advocates to speak to the people. They could talk about mental health challenges, cause of declination in mental health. We also have another section called the issues of the mind, where myself and you can come together and talk about things bothering us. We have the entrepreneurship session. And this is actually for people who possibly might not be children, you know. We also have a professional doctor who gives medical talks to people. So that is just the way by which everybody can have a piece of joy to take from the away that's home for everyone. So for people at the grassroots, for example, for people that are in villages, some of the outreaches with why in the villages, for example, the one we are planning now is going to be in some African villages too. And for those that are outside the country, the dream is to make the world a better place, right? So if you have ideas of how we also can come together to make the world a better place, we will be so happy to honor that. So both internationally and locally, Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation is for everyone. So everyone have a role to play. Everyone is part of the project. And like I said, there is free entry once you align with the dream of the foundation, which is social justice and to ensure that we make the world a better place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you very much. In case that people out there didn't understand everything that you said, because because there were some network issues. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat, or even if you have questions after this interview, feel free to contact us. Thank you very much. So, Emmanuel, why do you think it is important to exchange perspectives about mental health and related topics?
The trajectory of mental health is very, very broad, I have to be honest with you. No one has been able to tell exactly the depth of mental health. Mental health is a very big space. A very, very big space. And God has made it in such a way that we keep learning more about the approach to balancing or maintaining the high level of people to be at a very good state in their mental health. And because it's a very big space, your own understanding of it might be a bit different from my own understanding of it, but the two of us are working together to ensure that the people benefit from it, right? And so mental health itself is a very, very, very big space. Very, very, very big space. So sharing perspective is just like you bring in your own experience, I bring my own experience, and then it looks beautiful. And when we go to bed, we think it's very beautiful until another person brings the perspective, and then we add more color to it again. We keep beautifying and adorning the space of mental health based on sharing perspectives. Your own commitment, my own contribution, your own ideology, my own reasoning, everything come in play, and then we are able to build over time, and that's what mental health is all about. So if an individual that is a mental health advocate is just having the mindset that he is an island of knowledge, the person will definitely not be able to reach out to people, because people face different challenges every day. Depression itself gets worse every day. Societal circumstances get poorer every day, and we have to just keep getting better, and we don't hold back on what we believe in. We share it, we beautify it, we draw it, and then we'll be able to make a better future for ourselves and for the community at large. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this summary. That was very helpful due to network and technical issues. Thank you so much for summarizing in the end. So I would like to ask you, suppose a miracle happened overnight and one aspect about mental health care changed to the better. How would you recognize the miracle happened?
Thank you for that question. I think you'll be able to recognize that definitely. So, for example, when I wake up in the morning and I go out after I say my prayers, of course, you're also aware of that. I always expect the worst from people, because I know people sometimes go to bed with a lot of heart burden, right? And then sleep is just going to pause it or sedate it. And when people wake up again, some of them go back to that level of pain. You can be able to evaluate the fact that things are getting better for people when you discover that the level of depression you have in the society is reducing. You will surely know it. It is not possible is something that is expressed from within and showcased on the outside for the world to see. So when you know that people are healing from their pain based on solutions provided to the cause of their mental health challenge, you would surely know. You cannot hide joy. You can fake happiness, but you cannot fake joy. So if you're someone that can be able to spot joy and identify it, you are 100% going to know if there is a miracle happening in the life of that individual that was sad before. So you will surely know when the society is ailing. You will see less of friction. You will see less of tension. You will see less of aggression. But the more of it you see, then you will know that there is so much problems in the land, individually, group-wise, or as a nation. But when you see everyone having the feeling of joy, having the feeling of fulfillment, you don't need any soothsayer to tell you that. I think that the mental health is, yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Please, I would just like to invite the other people also. If you have a question, feel free to write it in the chat. I have my last question to you, Emmanuel. In the meantime, people can type if they like. Feel free to. Please, Emmanuel, what else would you like to share with us tonight? And what would be your maybe take-home message?
Thank you very much, Catherine. I think what I would like to end with tonight is for every individual to understand the fact that you are the custodian of your own joy. You are the custodian of your own joy. I'm sorry for going spiritual, but a verse in the Bible says that a joyful heart does like medicine, but a sorrowful heart dries up the bones. I learned that as a child. Mental health itself is medicine. You're talking about medicine. You're talking about the healing of the mind when you talk about mental health, mental healing, the mind, the brain. So when the Bible tells you that a joyful heart does like medicine, the Bible is trying to tell you that joy is an antidote to depression. And when you can identify an antidote to depression, the venom called depression have no hiding place in your life. So you are the custodian of your own joy. Maybe practically we'll look at it this way. If I feel sad about you, Catherine, it is because I've put you in a position that I am the one that put you in that position, and I've given you the power to make me sad. So I have to, inside of myself, create joy to be able to awaken my mind and to be able to flush out the sadness I have. Nobody can make you sad. You are the only one that can accept the societal sadness into yourself. So when you have the abundance of joy and understand the fact that there is nothing that happens in this world that will not pass away, you will not open the door for depression. And don't forget, a sorrowful heart dries up the bones. When you talk about dried bones, you're talking about not just death, you're talking about an helpless state. So, we need to try to ensure that we are men of joy at all times. We need to ensure that we create our own joy even when the society is saying something otherwise. We have to understand the fact that nobody has any right to make us sad except we permit that person to give us that dirty dose of sadness. And more importantly, we need to understand the fact that depression can lead to suicide, and when we commit suicide, we have provided a permanent end to a temporal solution, and that is not good. So, be joyful. Let the joy in you be abundant to be able to even reflect on the people around you. Do not allow for sadness. Create your own joy the best way you can, and strive to ensure that people around you experience the depth of the joy you've created in your inside. And then the world will be a better place, as I've always said.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for your perspective and the work you're doing. Very, very interesting insight in your research project about the mental health conditions of farmers in Nigeria, and also about your organization, Emmanuel Fadipe Foundation. Thank you so much also for your patience. Not only you, but also the people outside, because it was sometimes a bit difficult with the network. So I want to especially say thank you for your patience and also for your participation and questions, for your interest. Please, if you have any questions to Emmanuel, feel free to add them in the chat. Otherwise, I would just like to use the time to express my gratitude to you, Emmanuel, for your time. And then upload it on my YouTube channel, Health Exchange, which is linked to my bio on Instagram. And yeah, in the future there will be other interviews that will be conducted. So stay tuned. I will also inform, of course. And yeah, I would just like to thank you all for participating, for your interest, and especially you, Emmanuel, for your insight today. And I wish you all a lovely evening. Okay, I'm not sure, maybe Emmanuel would like to say something as well before we close.
Thank you very, very much, everyone. Thank you so much. I also want to apologize for the poor network. It's beyond my control, and I want to appreciate everyone for understanding that and for everyone to come around today. I also want to appreciate you, Catherine, for everything you're doing. You're making the world a better place, and with time, I'm very sure that the little drops of water will surely make a mighty ocean, and the world will definitely be happy about it. Thank you very much, everyone, and till we see you some other time, have a nice time and remain joyful.
Thank you very much. All right, then. Goodbye.
Bye.